on last month's minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion.
Mr. Cooley. Richard McKee, seconds. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last month signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, we're on to public comment. Anybody in here today for public comment? I assume our gentlemen are here for bids. Perfect. Moving on to, if okay, so those gentlemen could leave. Administrative, Mr. Clinton, you okay if I go right into highway and get the bidding and stuff taken care of? We're gonna bump down to number 8. Is that all right with you, Josh?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me.
All right, you wanna start with 8A?
Sure can. Sharing the screen here.
Bringing up,
Did summary report first.
okay.
So I handed everybody quite a bit of information when they came in the door here. So if everybody wants to pull out the 2023 bid summary report, shows on the big screen. It's a packet that looks like this information. We'll kind of go through the bids one by one, page by page, and it'll show like the breakdown of the summaries of each individual bid we sent out. I will give a brief explanation of what we were kind of looking for and what this kind of means and what my recommendation is for the award, and then it's open for discussion to the committee to make a decision. Okay, first item up for bids we were looking at was seal coat chips for the year. This is our seal coating project, also known as what we use our wheel tax money for, which is roughly about $350,000 a year. This year, we're doing about 15 miles worth of road, so we're needing right around 2,989 tons of 3/8 wash fractured quartz chips. This chip is a chip we used last year with a good amount of success. It has a harder wear surface, and the bidder requirements was the amount of tons we needed with a price per ton delivered to the highway shop. Totals for this milestone came in at $93,435.31 delivered. Farner was $84,754 delivered to the highway shop. At this point, my recommendation is Farner with a price of $84,750.
I would assume Josh will take these, each one separate with a separate motion for each one.
Correct.
If somebody would like to make a motion, at least we can get it on the floor. And for some of the newer people, if you have questions about the bidding process, let's start with this one. I would entertain a motion on either one of these bids as presented. Mr. Manning? Very first sheet.
Seal coat.
Seal coat chips is what we're looking at. Mr. Manning makes a motion, seconded by Cosgrove. It is on the floor for discussion. If anybody has questions as presented, Josh has got it pretty plain and simple. 2 bids. One was 93.4, the other one is 84.7. No questions on it. We'll move on with the vote. All those in favor accepting Farner with the low bid for the 2989 tons of quartz chips signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. All right. Moving on to page 2.
Okay, page 2. Next bid, we're up for discussion. Pulverizing.
This is chip sealing is what we got.
Yep.
Oil.
Chip sealing.
Chip sealing oil. Oh, my apologies, I jumped the page. So chip sealing, this goes hand in hand with our seal coating project for the year. This is the oil that we put down on the road as a base layer before the chips are applied. This oil is what binds all the stone together. It's the hot oil you see kind of seeping up through the stones as you drive on a fresh seal coat. It binds and locks everything down together. The typical oil we use is a HRFS 2 chip seal oil. We're looking for about 80,000 gallons. How they usually bid it is a price per gallon and an application rate. MIGs came in at $2.44 a gallon with an application rate of 34 cents for a total of $2.78 per gallon. Farner and Flint Hills, using the same company, Farner does the application for Flint Hills, but it's Flint Hills Oil, came in at $2.50 a gallon from Flint Hills, and Farner has an application rate of 39 cents, giving them a total of $2.88. My recommendation at Miggs for the lower price of $2.78, and we have used Miggs before in the past, and it's fair to say that both companies have done very well for Richland County. In this case, it comes down to strictly numbers, with my recommendation being Miggs Oil.
I'll make the motion for Megs.
Mr. Cooey? Seconded by Mr. McKee. Any discussion on the chip sealing bids for the oil? Yes, sir.
That is a completely separate thing. All you're buying is a material from farmers to haul it in, and then the oil and the application is done completely separately. We do all the only way they're connecting is just in the oil process alone.
Any further questions? If not, we'll call the vote. All those in favor of awarding the bid to Miggs for the oil, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, we go that route.
We are moving on to pulverizing. We're moving on to our road construction project scheduled for this year. We are doing approximately 6.82 miles of road. The roads are County Highway Double J from Highway 130 to the county line. County Highway Double O from the intersection of O and Double O, also known as Santa Claus Lane, to 3 miles heading south to Riverview Ridge. And then County Road W extending from Highway 60 to the county line. What we do first on these road projects is we do a full pulverization from the surface down to the base of the road. We also add gravel in there, and it creates a new base layer, and then we put hot mix asphalt over top. Do so, it requires a specialized piece of equipment to come in and pulverize the existing surface that's there. In this case, we are also including a water injection and better compaction, and they are providing all the grading that we need to have done before we can come in and do the blacktopping, because we do not have sufficient amount of grader operators and the additional cost for us to do it. We have used both companies in the past, WK Construction with 3 mobilizations, moving the equipment from site to site, come in at a total of $129,869, and Tri-County comes in $163,860. My recommendation off price and experience working in the past is WK Construction.
I would entertain a motion if someone feels so for WK Construction. Mr. McKee? Ms. Fleming? Now it's on the table for discussion. Anybody have questions about the pulverizing bids? Mr. Carroll?
Yeah, I just wonder if you had any thoughts on the no bids, why there were no bids?
Some of them don't already have their schedule filled for the year, or they know they aren't going to be able to meet those requirements, being able to add the water injection process because it's more of a specialized process. So it basically comes down to if they have room in their schedule, or if they can't meet their bid requirements, they normally don't throw a bid in.
Thank you.
Mr. McGuire?
Difference in the bid here, so I'm curious, did WK forget something in their bid?
WK has not forgotten anything in their bid. I have went over this their prices with both of them and asked them if they have forgot anything, and spoken to both companies, and this is their actual price.
Okay, because there's a substantial difference there. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll call the vote. Those in favor of WK Construction being awarded the pulverizing bid as their bid was presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, go with that one. Next up, we're going, I have hot mix asphalt. Is that what you have, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So moving on to hot mix asphalt. This one's pretty simple. It's one company, DL Gasser. Gasser is owned by Matthew Construction, who basically own a lot of the operations. I think Scott's is pretty much their only competitor. So basically, my recommendation is for DL Gasser. The hot mix asphalt, per county highway, the length of the roads, we basically, a simple calculation, length, width, depth, and then a compaction rate. We figure out how much tons is needed per road. We break it down per road to have that company bid on it. In this case, each like County Highway Double J comes in a total of 176,527. Double O 483,773, and County Road W at 436,165. So on the fact that they are the only ones that put in a bid, DL Gasser is my recommendation.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Cooley, seconded by Mrs. Fleming. Anybody have questions as this was presented? I assume we would have not enough time to try and get rebid. Nobody else was gonna bid, they would have.
Nobody else is gonna bid because they would have bid by now, correct?
All right. With that said, all those in favor of awarding the bid to DL Gasser signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, nay. All right. Hot mix asphalt awarded to DL Gasser. Tandem axle trucks. Tandem axle trucks is next for me. Is that what you have?
That is what I have. Moving on to tandem axle trucks. So as previously discussed, and what we're trying to do is every year with our deteriorating fleet, we're trying to replace 2 trucks a year to get back caught up, and we should stay on that cycle to maintain a good fleet. So what we did was we sent out a packet of information every year. It has our requirements for the size of the truck that we're looking for, everything to do with suspension, color, so on and so forth. A lot of information goes into that because it has to carry on our plow package. And that usually is worked out with whoever does the body build. So we send these bids out to Lakeside International, I-State, Bush, any truck distributor in this area, any Peterbilt, any manufacturer. Most of them did not have any availability for trucks, so they did email me, which I do have copies of, saying that they respectfully declined putting in a bid because they have nothing to offer. The 2 companies that were able to offer something was Lakeside International, who we have done a lot of business with in the past. For 2 trucks, they came in at $250,986. So price per truck is $125,493.30. I-State came in at $295,555, and price per truck is 1 truck came in at $148,713. And a second truck came in at $146,542. With the trucks from I-State, 1 truck is scheduled to be built in October of this year, and 1 truck is scheduled to be built in June of this year. Another important part to note about the I-State trucks is truck number 2 comes with a universal truck equipment body build that comes with the truck if we decide to purchase it. That is because the truck was set up and built as a demo model truck. Because it is available for purchase, we are buying this truck, accepting it with the current body build that it has been built around. Now, what this one comes down to, in my opinion, is availability. Lakeside has an estimated availability of 18 to 24 months before a truck even rolls off the line, and he can still not even guarantee that can happen. Delivery date that we could see from I-State are scheduled for this year. That is a big thing for us. It gets our fleet updated. It is more money, but another thing to think about too, Lakeside and several years to come before we ever see those trucks, those prices could go up. Going off availability and the necessity for new trucks, my recommendation is I-State Truck Center. These are not Peterbilts on the page. These are 2 Western Stars.
Yep. Let's,
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Cooley, Mr. Cosgrove, we've got the tandem axle trucks on the floor. Mr. Manning, go ahead with your question.
The 2 I-State trucks come with Detroit DD13 engines. They come with a 9-liter Cummins.
How many liter on the I-State truck?
DD13 stands for 13 liter. So you're getting a big block engine with them, more power.
It's quite a bit bigger motor.
It is quite a bit bigger motor, and it comes with a larger transmission to handle that, which is not a bad thing because it does help on the fuel economy with those trucks not working so hard to push the loads.
Go ahead, Steve.
It has no use. This has not been built yet. It'll be a brand new truck. It was being built in anticipation of being a demo model.
Yes, go ahead.
Lakeside. They took several years to get here.
Sorry.
And then you were waiting an additional couple years before you saw those trucks from Lakeside. It's nothing to downgrade Lakeside on. Everybody is struggling to get equipment. It took a lot of phone calls to figure out that these two trucks were even available. And I do applaud what Craig Potter did by working with me on making sure that if we so choose to go after these trucks, we could have them for ourselves. Craig is in the room with us. If you would like to speak on availability of those trucks, if you guys would like to hear that, he is here.
Before I left our shop in Windsor this morning, to drive through the blizzard, I confirmed that what we call our demo truck, I still have a scheduled delivery date to our location in Windsor, Wisconsin of June 2nd. The second truck in question, I have reserved a spot in the third quarter of this calendar year, which would put it on ground with us approximately late September, which would allow a given bodybuilder still enough time to put that second truck into service for the county. And you would have then both trucks available for the 23-24 plow season.
One thing I would add is, I don't know what the exact dollar difference is, 45,000, whatever it is, 44, but, I could imagine with what's happened this past year, we would make up half of that difference in repairs if we keep our fleet. Well, Mike, let me rephrase that. We would make up that difference in 2 years if it takes us 2 years to get 2 more new trucks.
I got,
Yeah.
Josh, do we have all our trucks now? How many of them are still on their way here?
We are still waiting on 2 that we had ordered from Lakeside this year or this time last year. And there is no expected build date on those 2 that we ordered last year.
We still don't, there still isn't a date on
There
those.
is still no date on those 2.
So we're gonna get these 2 trucks before we get the 2 we ordered last year.
Yes.
I'll have Josh update you a little bit on our maintenance issues, but probably be coming through on our bills, I would assume.
You'll see a glimpse into it on the bills this month. So again, our fleet is extremely aged, and it is starting to show. This year alone, I've had to rebuild the engines in 2 trucks, and then at any given point in time, I have been down through the last several snowstorms over 9 trucks out of the fleet, which means that's at some points I had drivers, patrolmen sitting at home because there was no trucks running available for them to operate, which means the routes had to be absorbed into other plow routes, which increased the overtime and stress onto other individuals. At this point, we do have a truck for everybody in the fleet with several spares. It has been a lot of work. We've had to outsource a lot of it to the bush. And then also RC Truck and Auto, who have been very good to us about helping us in the time of need. But it's showing in the age of the trucks. And as every year goes on, as every snowfall goes on, these trucks are breaking down one after the other, and they're not small repairs.
Anybody else with any other questions for Mr. Elder?
Well, just a comment, Josh. So knowing that we're not gonna get trucks, right? I mean, we should probably be a little bit more proactive in looking at maybe rebuilding these engines. You know, if you're having engine failures, rebuilding these engines in the summer when we don't need all them trucks just to, yeah, I mean, just, you know what I'm saying?
So in the past, Richland County Highway unfortunately has not had a proper maintenance schedule in place. It's basically as the truck breaks, we fix it. As long as it's still running, we run it. Since I've taken over and we've had all these breakdowns, we are implementing a new factor, as in every truck is going to have a standard maintenance schedule, which means it's going to have a schedule when it's going to come to the shop and be inspected from head to toe, and then also meet DOT requirement for inspection as well. So it's always roadworthy, and we can catch these problems before they become a major problem in the middle of winter when we are expected to be out there to do the job.
And our trucks that these will be replacing, we've been selling them on Wisconsin surplus, is that correct, Josh, or?
That is correct in the past, but we don't have enough trucks as spare trucks. So for the time being, I will retain as many trucks as I can to make sure we have sufficient amount of spares until we have enough new trucks into the fleet. At this point, I recommend that we keep at least half the operational fleet as backup spare trucks, and then have the full 19 trucks that are the daily drivers for doing the job.
Any further discussion? Yes, Josh, has the county ever looked at glider kits versus new all the time?
The county has never looked into the glider kit option. It's been brought up on several different occasions. The problem with glider kits is meeting emission standards, because as glider kits, there is a thing in there where you can build a truck without having to put the DEF and the emission standards onto the truck. When that happens, parts tend not to get warranted because they do not meet emission standards. It comes down to the point of following due diligence of the county to purchase and maintain the proper working trucks that meet statute requirements, legal requirements.
I was just wondering what's availability, is that an option?
It can be looked into in the future. I'm more than willing to do that. It's just never been done.
Questions, anyone?
Just quickly, were both the companies Cummings, or if not, what was the other one?
So the two model trucks that are the kind of trucks that are on the table is Lakeside International, which are international trucks with
Okay.
a Cummins engine. The I-State is a Western Star with a Detroit engine in it.
Well, they got Detroit's. in it.
Detroit's,
Okay.
yes.
13 acres, remember when you said 13 acres? Sure. Good question though, Mr. McGuire.
Well, I'm a smart guy. Smart something, I'm not sure. I get, somebody says another different word at the end.
All right, I'm ready to vote if everybody else is. If you're in favor of the I-State Truck Center with the options as presented and the discussion as to why we would be going with the higher bid because of delivery time, in my opinion, signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that one is done. Next up, my sheet says, looking at renting a loader versus purchasing a loader.
Let me catch up here. All right, so at the beginning of budget season, we recommended that it was time to budget to buy a brand new loader. I am of the opinion nowadays that owning a piece of equipment versus rental of a piece of equipment, it's two different animals. When you own a piece of equipment, it's more liability onto the county, and it comes with a lot of maintenance and repair costs on top of that. And then, of course, it becomes outdated, and down the road, you have to make a whole new investment into purchasing a new piece of equipment. What we want to do this year is get into a rental program, which means a piece of equipment that we're going to use day in and day out, as we do with our loaders. It would be more beneficial, in my opinion, to do a rental where we don't own it and we have all maintenance and everything covered, and every year we end up with a brand new piece of equipment that stays running in the fleet. Okay, so what we did was we sent out specs. Specs for this was we were looking for a 1-year rental term, and then the size of loader, horsepower, its lift capacity, its height of lift, so on and so forth. These bids were sent out to multiple different vendors. Now, there's going to be multiple different options on here where you see option A, option B, and option C. It's worth noting and proper to note that not everybody can offer a very good rental program. They can what they do offer is maybe a lease to own or a municipality swap program, as you'll see on here. Going on rental and rental alone, looking at the piece of equipment, Aaron's, Brooks, and Miller Brad could do an annual rental. Miller Brad came in at 41,500, which comes with the premium package deal included in the price of all maintenance and everything is covered on site, which means every time it needs an oil change or something, they show up on site, no charge, take care of the oil, grease, whatever that piece of equipment needs. And Volvo came in at 73,200 per year with the same kind of a program. There are some hidden fees in there, requirements as far as how many hours can be put on a piece of equipment, as all of them have. How that piece of equipment is to be used, and there are certain things that are not covered underneath that rental. And then Brooks could come in at $107,000 per year. Just on the rental side alone, which we will gladly talk about the rest of it, at 41.5 with that kind of package deal they offer, my recommendation is Miller Bradford for $41,500 with just renting it, not owning it, and all maintenance and everything is covered per year. Now, it is important, and they did put a lot of effort into it. I do want to talk about the lease options. Now, lease to own is similar to what we've done in the past, where we buy a brand new piece of equipment and the payments are spread out over 5 years. At the end of 5 years, you own that piece of equipment. Annual costs for Fabic Cat came in at $52,640. The actual buyout of that piece of machinery was $289,000. Brooks could come in again at $289,000 for an annual cost of 5 years, annually at $47,302. And at the end of that, there would be $105,775 balloon payment then you would own that piece of equipment. Titan Machinery came in at $259,000 and on a 12-month period, $63,000. Now, it's important to note that at the end of the 1 year, if I'm understanding this correctly, I believe Titan is in the room with us if I get it wrong. At the end of 1 year, they take $63,000 off the price of the loader, and that's what we would get the loader for. $295,000. So we would end up paying $259,533. Okay. Then get into option C, which is a municipality swap program. This is a pretty unique program that's offered through Aaron Equipment, which is Volvo. They give you a brand new loader. The first year you pay for it outright at about $295,000. Every year you're going to be paying, if you spread it out over 5 years, you'll be paying $24,625 a year. But, so how this works is you pay for the loader outright to get started. Then every year for 5 years, you get a brand new loader. They bring a brand new loader into you. And then at the end of the 5 years, that 5-year newer model is yours if you so choose. You get to keep it. Or you can start the swap program all over again and then go through another 5 years. And then at the end of that, you can buy that brand new piece of equipment. With the option B and option C, we still arrive at the fact that we'd have to purchase a loader outright. In my opinion, owning a piece of equipment and what we do versus renting, I'd rather stick with a rental program where we don't have the liability, we don't have the maintenance schedule on it, and every year we still get a new piece of equipment. So my recommendation is Miller Brad.
Let's just get the rental loader onto the floor and we can discuss, please. Mr. Cooey? Ms. Fleming? We are on the floor, open to discussion from anybody on the committee or also our gentlemen that are out here with us.
Josh, 2 years ago, I met with Kelby Brothers on this exact thing, and they were really excited about leasing us Hitachi. Was this sent out to Kelby Brothers also?
I don't believe it was. We sent it out to Brooks, Aaron, Miller, Bradford, Fabic, and Titan.
Because I was wondering if they had been, because they, what they were telling me 2 years ago was really anxious to get into Richland County and get some Hitachis out there. Is this a priority that we do this tonight?
I would recommend that we do it as soon as possible with the availability of equipment. Our bid requirements is sending it out to at least 3 competitors. We've sent it out to more than that. 41.5 is gonna be a hard price to beat on a rental program, especially with the Cadillac service package they are including in that price.
How many yard loader is this?
4.5.
Mr. Carroll, or go ahead, Richard.
Correct. Miller Brad has one waiting on deck that should be here by the end of this month. There are some that cannot get us a loader until November or December at the earliest.
Yeah, I was wondering, now this is just for one loader. Are you looking to expand this concept with other stuff too, or?
I am, yes, in the future, that between bulldozers and like our cruisers and our backhoe and stuff like that, it lessens the amount of maintenance and liability that the county's carrying. So whatever I can do that'll stretch out our equipment budget, that's what I'd like to be able to do.
And then my other question, actually it's a question for all these. I was just wondering how these compare to your budget that you submitted.
So the budget we submitted was $500,000 worth of equipment. We had it in there as one truck and then one loader. Being as though we were looking at a rental program instead of an outright purchase, because the outright purchase is approaching $300,000 alone for a loader, that it opened us up for the option of purchasing a second truck. And then the rest of this cost is covered by revenues that we produce a year.
Is our Komatsu track hoe, is that purchased or leased?
That is under a lease.
That's what, so for the newer members, I thought it was, but I wanted to confirm. So we already have, is that the only piece of equipment we're leasing, correct?
We also have a skid loader underneath the lease as well.
Questions on this side?
But
Mr. Cooley?
those are leased to own, aren't they, them other ones?
Correct. That means after 5 years, we pay $1 for them and then we own them.
Anybody else with questions? Mr. McGuire?
Well, as I see here is Fabric Brooks and everything, they all offer a 5-year deal, right?
Correct.
Okay. The annual cost from A-Ring is, or is that Airing? Is it Airing or A-Ring?
Airing.
Airing is extremely low compared to Brooks and Fabric. It's only $25,000. So, and it sounds like you would rather than take ownership of a piece of equipment you had for 5 years, you just soon start a brand new 5-year lease again. Is that right? Assuming
I would just assume not own the piece of equipment and just rent it from year to year to year as we need it.
so the lease to own is not really an advantage for you at all then?
No.
No, okay. So I guess I just want to know why we are not entertaining or talking about A-Ring's $24,625 deal, which is a lot cheaper.
That again is the swap program where you still have to upfront the cost of $295,000. That 5-year annual cost is just put as, if you were to break out that over the year, would be $24,000. But you still end up owning that piece of equipment when that's all said and done. After 5 years, or you extend it out for another 5 years past that, you're gonna end up owning it. And you
That
still-
option, Dan, we have to buy it for $300,000. Without buying it, he just explained, we were able to buy a second truck this year with the idea of leasing. Instead of spending $300,000 on a loader.
Not leasing, renting.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
any other questions? Otherwise, I can call the vote. Josh would like to go with option A, the rental from Miller Bradford with an annual cost of $41,500. All those in favor of going with option A and Miller Bradford signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay, that is passed. That's the option we'll go with. Last page, culvert bid.
Okay, culvert bids are a little more cut and dry than they were last year for the board members that were here for it. So you had 3 companies that turned in their bids. One was Metal Culverts, one was True North, and one was Contact. as you can see across the board, which I guess I need to backtrack here. So when we throw out a bid for culverts, we're looking for 12-inch diameter all the way up to 96 diameter culverts. And those are usually bid per foot because we buy them per foot. It's not for a full complete length. It's always per foot. So that's how those are priced out. So across the board, metal culverts came in cheaper price per foot for each culvert. They came in cheaper across the board for bands and end walls, which bands are the pieces that hold the two pieces of culvert together when you have to butt connect them. And then the end walls, which is the piece that you put on the end that has a flare out that it can disperse and retain bank behind it. So my recommendation is metal culverts.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Cooey? Seconded by Mr. McKee. It's on the floor. This one is pretty cut and dry. Unless anybody has questions about it, we'll keep the meeting moving along if there are no questions.
No doubt, all the same gauge.
Yes.
Part of the bid specs. All those in favor of awarding the bid for metal culverts to metal culverts signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, bidding process. What else you have? Well, you have some trucks here.
Want to move into the 14?
Sure. Oh, you got the trucks further down or no? These here?
Yes, we can move into item 14 if you want.
Yeah, let's go into item 14. We'll get that one, then we'll come back up and do the bills. On 14, as long as you have the packets in front of you. The first one is which one you have, Josh? Sleepy Hollow?
Sleepy Hollow.
Background, please.
Okay, so one of our normal fleet pickup trucks went down this year. We sent it off to Jones's to have it looked at. It had ABS issues and steering issues. Basically, that truck is at salvage price of like $1,500 to $2,000. It was going to take over 10 to 12 grand worth of repair to get that truck back online, more than what the truck was worth. So we needed to look at a replacement. The first thing I wanted to do was take one of our superintendent vehicles or the commissioner's vehicle and hand that down in the fleet. I happened to come across this through Sleepy Hollow, which is this F550. Everybody sees in their packet here. They had a sale price of $41,996. Just for that alone, that comes set up with a utility box and a crane on there, which is cheaper than what I can hand our truck down into the fleet with, and then replace it for something to drive, and then put utility box on there. Another thing worth noting, this truck being an F550 rates differently on the, what do you want to call that? The state reimbursement rates. Which means as we use this truck, we get a higher rate of return on it, which means we can charge more for it when it's being used on a state, a township, or a separate project. We make more money back off having this truck in our fleet. So speaking of Sleepy Hollow, they are willing to take this truck in on, our old truck in on trade, giving us $1,500 worth of allowance, which is on page 2, highlighted. And then the overall price we would pay for that truck is $43,830. That, in my opinion, is a good price for what that truck is. I had 2 of the the board members come out, Public Works members, and take a look at that truck and agreed it was a good truck, but that is in your hands today to make the decision whether we move forward with the purchase. We do need to replace that fleet truck. This is a good one to replace it with for a good price.
It's as is in the picture, right?
As is in the picture, correct.
It is a good price.
I'll entertain a motion to bring it up on the floor if people have questions about this truck. Mr. Manning?
Second.
Mr. Cooley? On the floor, gentlemen and ladies in the room.
I have more of a statement than a question because I did look at this truck. Gorgeous truck, great condition. The one question I had, I was curious just what the value of the crane alone on this was. It's almost like we're buying the truck and getting the crane thrown in.
Now and it pretty much is that's exactly what you're getting. You're getting that crane thrown in. I can speak from a little experience of the value of a crane like that. If you were to buy that as a brand new piece of equipment or even a used one and have that mounted, installed, and working on the truck, you'd probably be approaching over $10,000 to $12,000 just for the crane itself,
The crane.
not including the major utility boxes and extra features this truck comes with.
And if you didn't notice, it is a 2-wheel drive, but we really have no reason.
We have no reason to have one of those fleet pickups as a 4-wheel drive because when it's snowing, well, we're not in those trucks. We are in our plow trucks. And we're not
Go ahead, Mr.
off-roaders.
Carroll.
Sound like a great deal. I assume it was a fleet truck and had good maintenance as far as we know.
Correct. It was owned by a company, Waukesha Oil Company, I believed. They bought it brand new and they are the sole owners of that. No history of accidents or anything on the truck.
Anybody else with questions? Otherwise, I'll call the vote. Seeing none, all those in favor of purchasing and trading for the truck presented by Mr. Elder signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right. Keep spending money. What's this one? Oh,
Hot box.
yeah, where's that one at? Yeah,
14B.
14B we're on to now, hot box.
Okay, this is actually not a truck. This is what's called a hot patch box. What it is, it's an insert, as you can scroll through the little pamphlet. It's an insert that sits in the back of similar to like the F-550 or something with a little dump box on it. What it does is it holds your patch material, the stuff we use to patch the holes on the highway in cold weather. It has a heating system. It's important to note the patch we use needs to be heated up this time of year to apply it into the holes to have a chance of staying. When it's cold, it becomes just like a stone, a rock, and we can't work with it. We can't even shovel it. So it has to be heated in order for us to patch the holes in the road. Currently, right now, the highway department does have a tow behind unit, which is a very expensive unit. So we wanted to find a second one because it's always a fight this time of year, whether it's being used on the state or county or if we have to, hire to go out on the township road or something like that. Another thing to note is these hot patch boxes, they normally go for about $20,000 to $30,000 installed. This is a demo model. It was used for 1 year, went from show to show to show basically, and they're giving it to us for $10,353. Good deal. Good company. We've worked with them before when we had our brine maker installed. It's something that we can use to bring revenue in, and we need it for the roads this time of year to patch those potholes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Cooley, second by Cosgrove. Discussion. My question is, are we getting the 5.0 or the 9.1?
We are getting the 9.1, I believe. So these have, again, it's a preheater is what it is. So it might be the Evo 5.0.
Okay.
It's a 120 volt plug-in. So like our hot box that we have now, that one has a diesel burner that it's got to run to stay warm. Well, being parked inside all night, we can't run that diesel burner and have those exhaust fumes inside the building or sitting outside running because you're going to burn up all the fuel. These have a nice little feature where they sit in the back of the truck, and then when we're in the shop or something, we can have it preloaded for the next day, plug it in, and that material will be hot and ready to go when we're ready to go to work. Typically nowadays, when we go out there, we have to load that hot box and wait for that material to get warm and run that burner before we can even use it. This has basically, if you want to call it a plug and play feature, that's what it would be.
Anyone with questions on the hot box?
See different options here. What type of equipment are you gonna put this into, like a small dump truck or?
It's a small dually size truck, similar to the size of that F-550. They're very similar, it's actually the same size as that, and they have a little dump box on the back of them, and that's what it'll go in.
Are you recommending also, Josh, to go with the 10.353 or just with option 1? Complete with.
Complete.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, maybe you said it and I didn't hear it.
That's yeah. On your front page on the Casper piece of equipment, you have option 1, which is a hot patch unit. That's $9,000. Option 2, which is them to install it in the unit and then put the LED strobes and the arrow stick on the back for safety. That's just LED flashing lights to say, hey, stay away from me. We are including that, so we're recommending to buy it for the $10,353 to include everything shown on the bid page.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right. Ching ching.
Items, yeah.
Where do you want to go next, sir?
Yeah, we can get the bills out of the way, and then we can jump to 15 if you want.
Sure. As long as we're spending money, let's get it all spent at once.
Okay.
Monthly bills.
As I open up, we'll put it on the big screen.
Yep.
All right, this month is, again, it's kind of a fairly average month because we haven't seen some of the repair costs come in yet from the trucks getting worked on. So you're looking at a grand total this month of $299,908.97. Obviously, some of the big expenditures you see on here is the diesel fuel, which, you know, we will be bidding that out later, at a later date. Payroll, of course, and then the big one worth highlighting is item number 27 on here through DeBusch. DeBusch Truck and Diesel is a repair shop up by La Crosse. They are a big supplier for all of our parts, and they have been outstanding to work with. We order a part, it's there by the next day, sometimes even the same day if we call them right away in the morning. With the repairs and the amount of parts that we put into the trucks, we've spent $34,795.77. So that further justifies it's time to replace our trucks. We're spending way too much money on repairs. And then otherwise, it's all pretty standard stuff. Tires, that was another big one that kind of hit us. There was several of our trucks that were getting bald on their tires and needed to be replaced. So that's what I have for you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, let's get it on the floor, just in case anybody has questions. I'll make a motion to approve. Seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. Anybody with questions on the bills as presented? If not, all those in favor of paying the bills as presented, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, bills are paid. I'm gonna bounce around again. You wanna go down to 15? We'll get you wrapped up.
Sure.
That
Sheet is, should be in your packets. It's the recruitment and retention package. It's one sheet. Okay, as I brought forward last month at the Public Works meeting, is putting together a recruitment and retention package for the employees there. Basically highlighting a lot around the mechanics, getting them a tool allowance, and then an extra $1 an hour for during winter weather events. So I'll read this out loud. I've sat down with Tammy Hendrickson and we drafted out kind of how this would like to go. And then if you guys are in agreement with it, we'd like to move it up the line to maybe finance and personnel, but I'll read it first and get your guys' input. So one, would like to pay certain positions $1 more an hour when employees are called into work for snow plowing and flooding outside normal work hours. New pay codes would need to be created to track these hours for reporting purposes. Pay code for snow plowing and pay code for flooding so we can separate which hours are for what, especially for FEMA. Would like to introduce a tool reimbursement program as employees are supplying their own tools to repair county vehicles. Suggested guidelines would be maximum amount that could be reimbursed would be $1,200, with reimbursements being made from January 1 through August 31st. No reimbursements will be done September through December due to the 90-day clause. B, tool reimbursement would be for a mechanic and any other position at the discretion of the highway commissioner. Create a tool reimbursement claim form that states when the tools were purchased, how the tools will be used at work, dollar amount requested to be reimbursed. Request must be made within 30 days of purchase with the original receipt, no photocopies. In the event the employee terms within 90 days of purchasing and being reimbursed for new tools, the tools would be turned back to the county highway shop and the employee would reimburse the county for the amount paid of the tools. If the employee does not reimburse the county for the tools, the county has the authority to garnish their wages for the cost of the tools. Reimbursed tools will be considered taxable wages. The month of December, the total amount of tools an employee was reimbursed for will be added to their wages, with the employee paying taxes on the reimbursed purchase and will become part of their W-2 wages. Reimbursed tool purchases will be done through the accounts payable. And 3, would like to introduce a uniform reimbursement program for a mechanic or any other position at the discretion of the highway commissioner. Those are, again, just some rough guidelines that we were able to draft out to kind of start putting a pin on how we want this to operate.
Are you looking to have this approved or just have some discussion from the committee today?
I would like discussion from the committee. I'd love to hear input on this with recommendations, but if everybody is good with this, I would like to see this approved and moved towards finance and personnel.
Motion by Mr. McKee.
Second.
Mr. Cooey seconds it. Now we can discuss. Anybody with questions or comments or improvements upon what Josh has presented? Mr. Carroll.
So you're saying, other positions besides mechanic, so I don't have a feel for how many other people likely have to use their own tools.
Okay, so we have actual people that are designated as mechanics. We also have another position that's, he is labeled as the equipment slash patrolman or equipment operator slash patrolman. He primarily runs the loader and is our welder fabricator and works in our shop. He helps with a lot of the repairs and he supplies a lot of his own tools, especially for welding and fabrication purposes and working on trucks. In that case, I would deem it necessary that he is allowed some tool allowance as well.
Yes, how many people year to year is it normal that we would reimburse the tools for?
3 people in total.
3 people?
Correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
You expand on the uniform idea?
Again, that would be primarily focusing around the mechanics because a lot of times they'll wear their own clothes to work and it takes them all of about 5 to 10 minutes on any given day to destroy their clothes.
Any other questions? Mr. Langrick?
I'd just like to bring it to this committee's attention. Finance and Personnel met on Tuesday night. We had extended conversations in regards to one compensation issue, a little bit different from this, but I think if this is something that you would like to make a recommendation eventually towards Finance and Personnel, that a good narrative and argument is going to have to be kind of accompanied with that on talking of the extent of why this is essential and why it's different and other different factors to it for the sake that any types of compensations things can certainly leave other departments feeling like, well, I understand what they've got, but my situation is almost kind of like that. So, I mean, those are things that I think have to be brought forward if you're going to pass this along for Finance and Personnel to consider.
Very good comments, Mr. Langrick. Mr. Cooley, anything like that happen over at Shriver's?
Well, I would say most of the tools, we purchase the tools at Shriver, so if they need something, we buy it, We've got 16 mechanics, so it's a little different. I'm not saying, typically if they need something, we just buy it. And the uniforms, I don't know what it costs, but of course, everybody in our plant wears a uniform, mostly because it has to be managed because we make food. And it's laundered and you have to have that separation, but I think I don't know what it costs, but the mechanic goes through, they can trash a pair of clothes in 15 minutes and then they're stuck with that. And it gets pretty expensive over the course of the year. Even if you had just 5 pairs of clothes that you wore during the week, you're going to return, go through them. And that's a good program in my opinion. I don't know if you're going to use Cintas or Airmark or.
We use Airmark right now.
Okay.
What do you have right now that is supplied for? We have shirts supplied for all employees or no?
We have nothing supplied for employees. Besides regular safety equipment, PPE, safety glasses, work gloves, simple stuff.
Mr. Carroll?
Yeah. The $1 bump, it says for certain positions. Again, are there some positions where it's just a given that you're going to expect to come in off shift, or is this for some people that normally don't?
This would be for everybody that's expected to come in and plow snow because be on call with the highway department. We don't pay them to be on call. They just come in and get normal time and a half. A lot of times they can go a month, 2 months without a day off, and it gets to wear and tear on them. So it's just a little bit of an incentive program to be able to recruit and retain them. And as far as the certain positions, again, you're talking normal patrolmen / operators, and then also the mechanics that have to come in on call, and then that loader / the loader guy, the welder fabricator again, because he has to come in too to load the trucks and be there.
I would further comment to Steve as well that I think if it was me, I would probably remove the word certain. Those 2 people are on call. You just say, back when I worked for the DNR, you were paid $20 or something because you were on call for the night. You could get called in within that 24-hour period, but I don't, they, other than that, they don't, they're just on call, correct? They don't.
Correct. There's
Currently,
no,
they get nothing.
they get nothing for being available.
But then also
So-
in Randy's defense, you get nothing, correct?
So you might want to look at how the county operates in other departments.
Yep.
Because there's other people that get paid for on-call already.
That's kind of what.
And I would look at that, who gets paid what for being on call? And that's the route I would go down, because I agree, this will be a hard sell to go in there and say, we need $1 an hour because these guys got to come to work and do this work. We'll have a lot better chance when you start comparing to other departments that have on-call work and are paid for on-call and are paid out for on-call. So I think I would look at that, because that's a lot bigger item there. And then you can, I mean, we can say, well, what's different from them versus this?
Okay. I will
It's
take,
already established.
I will take that under advisement and investigate into that.
Because I think, Josh, last month you had some comparisons by county, correct?
Yes, we did reach out to Grant, Crawford, Vernon, and Juneau County as well, and they are doing a very similar thing with patrol routes, getting an extra $1 an hour, or, you know, for certain routes, there's a little more chopped up different, but they are giving a certain incentive for coming in and plowing snow.
So I would, maybe if next month, if you can bring that back, and then the comparisons
Okay.
throughout other departments in the county and those that are not getting any reimbursement, because we may have some other people we may be able to tag on with this.
That sounds
As
good to me, because
retention.
I'm not in a rush to get this done. I think we need to do it right, and I want to have every chance of it succeeding, so I'm good with that.
Anybody else have, go ahead, Gary.
Yes, you're not looking for money while they're on call. You're asking for $1 more if they get called in, correct? Like
Correct.
if they don't get called in, they would get nothing.
Yep.
Correct,
This is only if they get called in.
correct.
Anybody else have questions for now? We'll just have you bring it back next month.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. One left? Nope. You done?
I think so.
Oh,
Hope
geez,
so.
move back. Clint, you want to go, or Barb?
I'd appreciate it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You got to go to work tonight?
I do.
Are you late?
No. Usually it's not a problem.
We're working on that. Might be our longest meeting yet. No more 15 minutes.
I know. It's kind of shocking.
Much stuff wouldn't have to take so long.
Well, that one's only once a year that we have to do all, majority of the bids, so. All right, Barb, number 7, MIS.
So we have for our report, a couple of things to touch on. We are very, very deep in the radio tower project, which we're gonna talk about when we get back to Clinton's report. We are definitely, we've selected tower, location. Tower areas would be perhaps a better way of saying it. It isn't exact locations, but it's the plan of the areas where we want the towers. We'll be moving forward with the install of the console soon. They're a little behind right now because of some illness in their company and some scheduled vacations. We also have a new project on our plate. We'll be for zoning. We'll be looking at some new software for them for their database management. Currently, there are a couple of products out there that do the things that we need. Their database has really, it was established, I believe, back in 2015. And it originally was an Access. We moved it to SQL to accommodate, but it's really just outgrown the software that we have. It wasn't developed to hold as much data as they have. So we'll be starting that process of vetting new software for them. And also the day-to-day tasks that we have a request for.
You're good on
That's
that?
it. That's all I've got.
You want to move down to other ones you have?
Yep.
Do you have any,
Yep, I do. Josh, do you still have that up, or I can share?
Yeah, you'll have to do it, Barbara, or stop sharing.
All right, no worries.
Which one we going to, Barb?
We will go to 9 for JAMP.
9 in your iPads.
Yep. So we're talking here about Jamf, which is the software that is actually used to manage your iPads and all of the iPhones throughout the county. This software does two different things. It helps us to deploy information down and to collect open records for text messaging. It also controls the sites that we allow county devices that are outside of our network to go to. So if you're on your iPad, you shouldn't be able to go to inappropriate sites. This helps to protect the county from lawsuits and to keep our people safe from accusations. The other thing that Jamf does is allows us to use SMARSH. They're two software programs that need each other to function properly. So we need to get this contract renewed. It's the annual renewal. It is in our budget. It's an anticipated cost. And it does say it's borrowed funds, but that's because we have moved most of the county's IT needs into borrowed money in order to facilitate the 5-year plan.
This is a 1-year renewal, Barb. I don't see a dollar
Sorry.
amount.
And it's, if you look at, I was starting to pull that. There's also the quote is in place. 2 seconds and I'll have it up for you.
Oh, there's the quote.
Yep. For Jamf is also in there.
Right now, only on the interstate, on Interstate 3990, it's about line in Madison.
Total of 10,400, is that
Yep.
correct? Is there more? down
Nope, that's it.
there? Okay.
It was just over 10,000.
Budgeted item,
Yes.
Especially when
something that we need to do.
based on the types of vehicles they go.
Sorry, Adobe's not going to cooperate.
There we go.
There
If
you
you
are.
don't have it, so.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Cooley to approve, second by Carroll. Any further discussion? Budgeted item, something needs to be done. Keep the ball moving here. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye, opposed, nay. All right.
Next thing is the Barracuda renewal. Barracuda sits on the outside. There are two pieces of this software. One piece sits on the outside of our software, our hardware firewall. It controls the internet access for any device within the county's network so that inappropriate sites can't be reached, and it also keeps employees from browsing to things that aren't appropriate and wasting county time. The other thing that Barracuda software does is it archives our email. And that is what we have to have for open records requirements for those requests. That's how we fulfill those. The total for this is $22,054.80. Again, it's a budgeted amount and an anticipated cost.
Power line, there's a way to test.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Cooley. My second.
Cosgrove.
Mr. Cosgrove, discussion. Was this, this is probably a little bit hard to put out for bid.
It is because, well, you can put it out wherever you want. It's going to be the same cost. It's just, this is honestly just a pass-through for the company.
Yep, that's what I thought.
You know, they're the person that we bought the device from. This is the software that sits on the device.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Carroll?
I'm just wondering how Barracuda's costs have changed over time.
It usually is an increase of about 3 to 5% a year, which I think is standard for any software.
Low airflow in,
Anybody else? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
Aye, opposed, nay. All right,
I'm so
Barracuda is approved. Do you have
Well-
anything else for me?
I do not believe so.
I guess, Mr. Clint, you're up.
27 storm
We're
track.
back up at 6A, I guess. Maintenance report, is that where we're at? Yes, sir.
Report on the main house, the courthouse maintenance. There is an item in your folder. For brevity's sake, I'm not going to pull it up here. I will read through it. Those first item is courthouse key and security project. The status on that. Assistant Cheryl Dahl completed the inventory. Meeting with Administrator Lang, Maintenance Supervisor Nelson, Administrative Assistant Dahl, and Chief Deputy was held to discuss the current access concerns, the course of action development. Key access appears to be quite liberal, so until a plan is put together on how to get access under control, Administrator Langer has asked 5 doors as follows to be rekeyed: the judge's chambers, victim witness room, ammunition room, child support office, and computer server room. Discussion continues on next steps and best setup for the courthouse. We may consider having vendors come in for presentations. We also have Assistant Dull is working with Supervisor Nelson on putting together a map by floor, by door, on what a future rekeying plan could look like. So if we have vendors back, we can have them give us an estimated cost based on a breakdown and scheme. Anticipate future conversations also with MIS and Sheriff's Office in regards to a new fob system. A partial fob system is coming in place with the change in the jail access doors. That system, I'm hoping it has expansion capabilities with funding to follow to potentially expand out into the rest of the building. We do have current funds marked for 2024, but that pie right now is probably bigger than it is. So it's on the dream list for 2024 right now, but we'll see if the funds carry through. And a big piece of that too is what what it comes back for rekeying for an estimated cost. DOJ grant applications for the second round. We do have all those appointed. We are a bit over, which is okay because our overages are going to be absorbed by Sheriff's Office for 2022. They did go big on the Apex Officer Training Simulator, and they're taking on the additional access from that. Door replacement on courthouse is underway. I would defer to Supervisor Nelson if you'd like to comment on any particulars.
Yeah, the door is, it's being, it was ordered. It'll be here in about 2.5 weeks. Project should be done probably first part of March for the courthouse entrance up upstairs.
Window replacement, we do have the ordering process in place. I think we're waiting for a date on confirmation back on when the windows are going to be arriving. Is that correct? On the window replacement?
Window replacement, he said it was going to be March and start into April for the window replacement on the south side.
Land and zoning move, we do have them in position right now, and we also then have ambulance emergency management out of what is going to be the new conference room 2 downstairs. I think we're lining up painters and having that room refitted to be our backup conference room. Administrative move is complete. Thank you for MIS support on that, as myself and Cheryl are in there and operating. Also have space availability for supervisors in between meetings, prior to meetings, to stop in and have some desk space, and we can accommodate smaller meetings in there. We do have a conference table in there as well. Exploring possible improvements in the small courtroom. There is added need now post-COVID for more video conferencing capabilities, especially in the realm of trying to operate 2 courts with visiting judges. So we're looking to see how possibly to get that room fitted with the same Zoom type of capability as the big courtroom has. Window speaker for register and probate is complete. Mailbox, we're moving mailbox down to first floor. If there is a difference in opinion on that, you do have an action item underneath 16 to take actions to do something different with that. But we do have now the new kind of mail distribution system, in which you folks also have boxes up in the clerk's office. That box that we have for mail, I'm not sure, do we still have a use for that giant box that sits down by
The one on the second floor?
Yes, sir.
That one is where the mail is delivered from the post office.
Okay.
And then somebody from Register of Deeds picks the mail up on the second floor, takes it to the 3rd floor, separates it, distributes it to the mailboxes in the clerk's office.
So
there's a lot of handling of mail that we're trying to eliminate.
But we're going to push that drop box, though, for our mail coming in down to the 1st floor. Other item, and you have the opportunity here to say no, is that heavy lifting by Jeff, our treasurer, in putting in a DMV kiosk system on the 1st floor. This is a self-service. If you need to go get your little sticker and renew your registration for your vehicle, it'll be housed down there. It only requires space and electricity. There's a telephone number on the front of who we're calling if it's not working, and it has cellular or cellular network connectivity, so we're not going off of any of our systems. Since Gordy's closed up business, there has not been a self-service DMV station like
But in the first 10 years after it,
complimentary type of a service. Other property reports, land swap again with Pine Valley on the O project, still waiting to have O settled before we touch that. And then UW Campus Copper Top, we did get a bid and recommendation come back from Russ Moans that will be entertained with that committee on Monday. One other element, if you're okay with it, Mr. Chair, I'll go right into the Greenfield project, not Greenville project. That is a
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
mistake on my jargon. I'm not good at radio jargon. I aren't good at that yet. So on the screen here, you're going to see a small little darling parcel of 2.44 acres, which is out by Keysville. Off of, let me orient you here first. You're sitting approximately over here. Can we see that? It's kind of small. I can make it bigger. Control plus. There we go. Control plus. There we go. Okay. Okay. We're sitting approximately here. We're going to travel yonder out here east to Keysville. There's a small parcel here on N and Keysville Ridge Road. It is a county property. It's identified as a Richland County highway parcel right now. I think it is remnants from a reconstruction effort on that intersection is what I understand. In our radio tower efforts, we initially were looking at using a site in Ithaca. That tower is full and does not have room, which leaves us with a hole in the map right now. Would like to reappropriate this parcel. Would like to reappropriate this parcel for use on a green field site for building of a new tower in support of that. I'm approaching it right now as an administrative action and saying, go forth and do this. You have an opportunity tonight to say we do not like that idea. We'd like to use this parcel for something different or to consider not using a tower here. And I would defer to Director Scott if there's any more information. She's more technically savvy on that than I am with the tower. Mr. Chair.
Anybody have questions on this for either one of them? Do you want that in a motion?
A motion to accept report. If there's anything that you want to do different that you don't like on the report and say, no, stop, let's take a better look at this, then now's the time for that as well.
Motion by Cooley, second by Manning. It's on the floor. If anybody has questions about Mr. Flint's administrative report.
Just clarification on that. You had you mentioned the campus out there, Copper Top. What was that, a bid on something? I didn't quite hear you.
We've got bids back from several different vendors in regards to a roof repair. It was bid out as a base project of repair the immediate holes over the fire dampers and then extending out to doing the main section and then the 4/4 sections, all flat roofs, not the actual copper parts. So we do have bids back from that. Russ Moans will be giving a recommendation, and myself, next Monday at the Education Committee meeting. Steve, you looked like you had a question or several.
On this Greenfield site. That went kind of fast for me. Are we saying that we need a Greenfield site for a tower and that's the spot you're picking?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what all of the variables are that we need to consider, but I mean, are there appropriate utilities nearby? Is there any zoning that has to happen or neighbor notification, all that kind of stuff? I don't know if we have the knowledge or the information to make an informed decision.
The decision right now would just be don't use it for that, but there's several different things that have to still kind of go into place with it, with variances and making sure that there are going to be able to get electrical and wires and all these types of things to it. The real thing is at this point is it's really just saying that right now it's still queued as highway, but we're saying, no, let's explore and use it for this purposes. It's
Yeah.
not to a point
The
of,
first step of starting to explore whether it's a viable site.
is that we can use it for that
Yeah,
purpose,
well,
to explore.
if Josh has no issues, I sure don't.
I have no issues. I've been spoken to about this matter, and that, like Clint said, it's a remnants of a project from years ago. We have no purpose for it at this time. It's close to a quarry, I think, but you go to the top of the hill and it's where Keysville goes off to the left and the right there. It's right there. It's just the intersection. Yeah. Correct. I couldn't tell you who's the owner on that one. Most likely Milestone.
Any other questions for our administrator? Julie?
You mentioned during the key project section about partial fob. Could you explain that? Meaning, is it going to be, it's different than perhaps what they use like with HHS?
A comparable system, is it the same?
It's actually the same system, so that if you have a fob here and you would be authorized to access the same fob is used here, Pine Valley, in the EMS building. It's just that not all the doors would be fob accessible.
The partial being that I think right now the plan is to do the two main entrance doors, the squad access door by the bays. And is
And
there
then
one
the server room doors.
in the server room doors? So the idea though is in the future potentially extending that to do common access doors, possibly stairwells, to try to keep any type of after hour traffic with limited access just to like dispatch, is the long vision.
Perfect. That answers my question. And then my other question is about the land and zoning conference room downstairs. Will that also be available to do meetings like this with the IT, to be able to do like our land and zoning meetings down there?
Yeah, that's our goals. We have a little bit of, idyllically, once this room is refitted and set up for permanent video conferencing, this equipment would be available to move.
Thank you.
Anyone else with questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the administrative report as presented. Mr. Manning? Seconded by Ms. Fleming. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. All right. You're good for another month, sir. That's where we're headed, yes. Maybe. Jeffrey, you're up. In the folder or no?
Yeah, so it should be number 11, reassessment of tax deed parcel.
It's our luxurious.
It's our motel.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Josh is gonna bring it up for those of you that had.
So just for some background, I believe this was back in October when this was originally set for a minimum bid, and the requirements for purchase were set forth and it was advertised. We had a deadline of January 12th for bids, sealed bids to be submitted and plans for the property to be presented. We had 0 bids, 0 inquiries on the property. So next step per county board rules, or per our rules for this type of thing, is to bring it back to you folks to set a new minimum bid. And then we re-advertise, start over. 25,000. And just to refresh, the requirements were to bring the property up to an acceptable status, whether that means raising the buildings and returning the grounds to a cleaned site, or to rehabilitate the building into a usable structure that is up to code. And that had a 3-year timeline that was set forth by this committee. Correct.
Gary, I just got a question for you. What would it cost to clean that out?
with Josh. I had that notepad with me for quite a while.
That is correct. I think that's what we came up to was 100,000, clean it up.
I do have a question for Jeff. Did you find out, I know in the past, those of us that were on the property committee, I believe if we advertise, is it 3 times? Then we can sell it for less than assessed value.
Well, we can sell it for less than the assessed value. You guys can put whatever
Or what was
value
the
you
deal?
want on it.
Or we could sell it without bids, I thought, because we did that on a property over here that Simpson got and cleaned it up for $1.
I would have to review the
Yeah, and if
the ordinance.
next month, because I don't know, does anybody think putting another dollar amount on it's gonna do us any good? And we spend $300 or $400 advertising it, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know there is interest in it, but I don't think at $25,000 there's going to be interest from the party that reached out to me to buy it and tear it down.
Ideas.
That's my thought is we've already taken our lumps on it. Just write the dang thing off and put a minimum bid and take, because I guess according to statutes in our ordinance, we can take not the highest bid if we can justify why we took the lower bid, as long as it's higher than our set price. So if we put $1,000 on it, we get 5 bids in, one's for 5,000 and one is $1,000 even, but the person with $1,000 proves that they have the means and the capabilities to meet our requirements, we can take that $1,000 bid. And that's, we as a county are gonna be better off in the long run for that. The majority of it. The buildings themselves are not in the floodplain, but pretty much up to their front doorsteps.
Richard, do you want to put that in a motion? If you didn't hear Richard, he was suggesting $1,000 minimum bid was his motion. Mr. Manning. I don't believe we can yet. That's my question to Jeff. I know in the past,
You could put it at $1. Make that your minimum bid. I mean, that's the closest you're gonna get to making it
right,
a free for all. We have to set an assessed value.
yep.
Yep.
Well, even if we get, in my opinion, if we get the $1,000, almost covers our twice of advertising. So we're getting something out of it. And I would think, well, I don't know.
I'll
Mr.
second
Mr.
the
McGuire.
1,000. I'll second that.
Seconded by, yeah, we're discussing it. It's not even on the table. Sorry. Now it's on the table. Mr. McGuire.
Jacksonville
Yes.
property.
Yep.
I'm getting very tired of that guy wondering what he's gonna do. One day he wants it, one day he doesn't. I don't know.
That's why we have the bid process. If he wants it, he can bid.
So
We have a motion and a second and discussion at $1,000 right now.
So it's going to $1,000 now. He might jump up and be all excited now.
Not my worry right now. That was what we set back in October, and if you don't remember them, I'll have, oh, there they are, right there. 3 years. But they also have to prove that they, what was the wording?
If you scroll down, I have the actual, and that's more on a concise 1 page. Scroll down to page 4, I believe.
Requirements.
Josh, you run it? Who's running it?
Oh,
Go
bid
down to page
requirements,
4.
page 4. By submitting a bid on this property, the bidder acknowledges their understanding and,
Oh, maybe page 5.
guarantees they
It's a
meet
long
the
one.
following conditions. They are current on all property taxes on other property owned in Richland County. Number 2, that they have diligently inspected available records on the property, its condition, and all relevant laws and or ordinances governing its use. There's a couple, 3 more if you want me to read them, if you don't have them in front of you. But
But the gist of it is they need to demonstrate that they have the means, capabilities, and resources to get it to what they say they're gonna do with it. They can't
And-
just come in with a plan on a bar napkin and say, this is my dream.
That's his comments earlier, where if we could accept a bid that was lower, if that person demonstrated everything required here in the bid requirements. Any further discussion? If not, I'm gonna call the vote. All those in favor of submitting or lowering the minimum bid to $1,000 on this property signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, nay? All right, that's done. One
What-
more?
What do you want for a deadline? I don't believe we have to run this one the full 3 weeks, but if you want somebody to come in and present their plan to you, last time we gave, the meeting was in October, and we set the deadline for the January Public Works meeting. So if you want to do,
March
April.
Public Works is, whoops,
April. I'd say April. April.
the April Public
meeting.
Works bids are due, do you want
Yeah.
presentations that night? Or
Sure.
folks to show up? Okay.
that works for me. Mr. Manning?
Yes and no. I mean, it depends on what kind of projects we have down in that area. If it's a hole in the ground and it's a place that we can get rid of it on county property, then yeah, it would be beneficial in some circumstances, but not in the event of a large amount. The kind of fill we're bringing in is, a few tandem axle loads every couple days or something. So, I mean, it would take a while for it to really, really pan out.
And finding out with the airport project, if it's wetland, we can't put fill in it anyway. Difference between wetland and if it's in the floodplain, which would have to be researched, but. So. Yeah. That's part of what everything that he put together would be. They need to research that. Not our job to research the zoning and all them regulations that would take effect to getting it either up to code or green space, if we want to call it that, so. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Josh, you have Jeff, you have another one, right? 12?
Yeah, correct. These next two, 12A and B, I believe they should be more cut and dry. We'll just start with 12A. I think that's the Orion property. This is a property I'm recommending for us to move forward with tax deed foreclosure on. If you want to scroll down, Josh, I have the kind of the summary of the tax status. One more page. Tax deeds owned by the county. All right, so this just highlights all of the delinquent tax years for this parcel in the town of Orion. It's approximately half an acre. And if you want to go down one more, it shows the map. They've been delinquent since 2014. I believe this individual is actually deceased. We've gone through all of our due diligence and notification to try and not get to this point, but here we are. So it's just a little parcel there. There is a small building on it. I have not driven out there to see what it is, but
It's just a foundation.
is that all it is?
That's all it is.
It's still taxed as a building. So it's been a while since that's been assessed. But regardless, I'm just recommending that we move this on to county board for us to take ownership of it and then resell.
And we might, if we get it under ownership, when they redo Highway 60, maybe we'll get some money back from the state on it.
I have had an individual call me multiple times with interest in this property if it comes up for sale. So we can entertain that when we get to that point.
I would move that the county takes this property. Seconded by Mr. Manning. Any further discussion on this one? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Nays for those that don't want it. All right, next one.
All right, this next one is a vacant lot in the village of Viola. In, I believe it's 2018, the residents on this property burned. The fire bill got added to the tax bill, and the owner on record moved away. and has since not paid any taxes on this. It's just a typical residential corner lot in the middle of Viola,
Down one more, sir.
sitting around just shy of 4,700 for back taxes, and that's the property there.
Does that lot own that house too? The half of that house that it's highlighted?
It's the Higley property.
Just curious.
What's that?
The green line there.
Oh,
Goes
well,
over that house,
that's-
part of that
yeah.
shed, so I was wondering if we own that too.
No, well, we don't own anything yet, but that's some of the GIS
Yeah.
mapping, but regardless, that's the lot.
Somebody looks
Yeah.
like they're mowing it for whoever it was.
I think the village has been doing it.
Randy,
Doesn't look like anything's been going on the tax bill, so. Yep, it's here for back taxes for us to foreclose on.
I'll make the motion.
seconded by Cosgrove. All those in favor of taking the lot in Viola, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, now what do we got left? You done, sir?
I am done.
You're excused if you want to head north.
I will do that.
Randy, I think you're up. Mailbox 16, I think that's what I got.
That one, we already did that one.
Well, we didn't vote on it. Let's anybody.
We approved
What do
it.
you want to do is administrative report.
We want to do something different.
Yeah, that
there.
sounds good to me. Cross it off.
Okay.
Cliff's not here. We can't go into closed session. Anybody want to?
Let's try.
Behind you.
Oh, dang.
Let's try.
He's running the computer now.
So we need a motion to go and close.
Well, you do need a
I'll
motion to
give-
go into closed
I'll
session
do it.
pursuant to whatever, everything's on there, 19. Who did? Mr. Carroll, second it. Motion by Cooley.
Yep.
Roll call vote, and, Mr. McKee, yes or no? Going into closed session? Yeah. Mr. Carroll, yes. Mr. Manning, yes.